So this is where I am from. This is England. This is Leeds. This is Roundhay Park. In September 2020, my business was still in a very tender and new phase, and the official word was that those who could leave must. Flights were available to Manchester, and so I booked up and faced the prospect of spending an indefinite amount of time in the city where I was born and grew up. And in a time of lockdown. The first time I had spent more than a few months in my hometown since I was 18. Look, it was not easy living in Leeds, but it wasn't bad. You know, wherever you are in the world there are things that you have while there that are amazing and unique. And you can just see the wealth of the place in this landscape. More than 700 acres. Nearly 3 square kilometers. One of the biggest and best city parks in the world. In my biased opinion, obviously, it is the greatest city park on planet Earth. The history of Roundhay Park is that it was granted by William the Conqueror to the de Lacy family. All of this belonged to a string of wealthy families as their personal garden and hunting arena, and eventually, amazingly, it was given to the people of Leeds. The Mayor of Leeds who masterminded the £139,000 purchase in 1872 was called John Barron. It was quite nice being in Leeds, because I was able to witness the changing of the seasons. So, I arrived in Leeds in September 2020 because Thailand said listen, your passport and your stay can't be extended any further. Infection rates had been relatively low in Thailand when I was there. Gyms were open again. Even bars were opening a bit. So, maybe they changed the rule afterward, but, basically, they said everyone on the COVID visa amnesties got to leave by 25th September. So I thought, you know what, I haven't seen my family for a while. Let me regroup. The business was going to take a bit longer to get up and running than I had originally envisaged. Partly because of the COVID setback. So I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to tighten the belt. Batten down the hatches. Spend some quality time with my aging parents, my loved ones. And, this is it. It was a working lifestyle. I got an office while I was there, so I had an office to commute to, which was just walking distance. I'm not a driver, so that worked okay, but I had to bring one, maybe 2 laptops with me most of the time. I just walked there. And, you know, you got some views out in Leeds, mate. Like, for us this is just an afternoon stroll, you know. Or a brisk early morning walk to get freshly oxygenated blood flowing through the veins. And this is what you see. You know, all around. You know, you've got greenery. And, of course, if you're of the Cannabis Appreciation Society, it's a very stimulating environment for that kind of activity. Trees. And, at certain times, as you see, it's not that overcrowded. Look at this. So while I was in the UK I thought, you know what, I'm going to be spending some time here, so let me see a couple of things that I wouldn't be able to see normally. And do things that are known to boost mental health. And one of the top things to do is to walk in nature, so, I'm used to Roundhay Park, so I thought I'm going to come to this place. And that's what I did. Peak District. And this is a true story. I stayed in Sheffield and arrived late Friday night. It was Sunday afternoon and I still hadn't made it to the Peak District, as I was, as usual, grafting on the trusty Asus Windows laptop that I purchased in 2016. It's like 3 p.m, and, on a whim, I almost ran to the local train station just in time for the train. I made it and was on my way. The place I went to, I later found out, is actually a tricky and complex walk not really suitable for beginners. And I began to get the impression that I was the last person making this arduous trek. Then I reached the top. There were some people chilling, but I wanted to get down early as it was starting to get dark and it was a good 4 or 5 kilometer trek down a peak. Also, for some reason, the battery on my Galaxy S7 Edge ran out and I knew that I was, basically, on my own up here. Long story short, I had basically mentally prepared that I was going to have to spend the night out here sleeping rough, in just a t-shirt, and hope that there wasn't a storm or wild animals. The funny thing is that I even saw some people going up, but I didn't ask to tag along. I just pretended I knew exactly what I was doing and how to get where I was going. The best thing is one of the best feelings in life. That moment where I realized I knew where I was, and was safe, and instead of spending the night roughing it on a wind-swept hill, I would be able to settle back with some elite-level Yemenis Arabic fish and watch a movie. Back to Rondé Park for autumn 2021. And then, you see, the food was on point. This is something that I made after following a recipe. Pistachio milk with almond milk and saffron and cardamom. And that's milk rose that my dad made. Got to give props for that. That's one hell of a drink. Seriously? Milk rose? Remember the name. And that's just some hot chocolate that I concocted by boiling up chocolate. Not a bad drink that, Orval. Discovered it when I was living in Barcelona. My favorite beer. And that's just a bit of coffee, snackery. And that's the office scenario. I also went to Whitby. I have the fondest memory of visiting on a school trip when I was about 8. Glad to see it still retains a certain charm.